Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We kind of tend to think of history as this completed book, right? Like it's this solid, unchangeable record of dates, figures, and established facts. But honestly, the truth is that our past is absolutely full of missing pieces. It's like a giant puzzle. Today, we're going to explore the shadows of our historical record. We are looking at ancient cities that just vanished without a trace, manuscripts that literally no one on Earth can decipher, tombs that are somehow hiding from modern technology, and artifacts that, well, simply shouldn't exist. So get ready, because we are diving deep into history's biggest mysteries.
All right, so here is our game plan for today. 1. History's unsolved puzzles. 2. Lost people and places. 3. Cryptic codes and artifacts. 4. Monumental ancient enigmas. And 5. The value of the unknown. Let's jump right into Section 1, History's Unsolved Puzzles, and establishing the ground rules.
Now, before we really get into the fun stuff, if we're going to responsibly analyze these mysteries, we absolutely must separate verified historical facts from debated theories. Verified facts are the things we definitively know, stuff supported by hard archaeology, primary historical records, and actual scientific evidence. Theories, on the other hand, are those scholarly explanations that are still fiercely debated. We really have to draw this line because, in this explainer, we're not dealing with sci-fi, unsupported internet conspiracies, or supernatural claims. We are looking at the genuinely unexplained gaps in our real, verified human history. Understanding the difference between what we absolutely know for sure and what we can only guess is totally crucial. It's the foundation of all serious historical inquiry.
Moving right along to Section 2, Lost People and Places. These are the civilizations and crews that just vanished.
So, few names in history are more famous than Atlantis, but the dilemma we have here is pretty stark. On one hand, we have a fascinating historical fact. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato explicitly described this powerful, magnificent island civilization. We're talking concentric waterways, massive gold and silver architecture, and an advanced navy that eventually just disappeared beneath the sea. The text itself is very real. But then we hit the mystery. Because despite endless theories connecting his story to real places, like the volcanic destruction of Santorini in the Mediterranean, there is absolutely zero conclusive archaeological proof that Plato's Atlantis ever actually existed the way he described it. Was it a real, vibrant civilization wiped out by a massive tidal wave? Or honestly, was it just a brilliant philosophical story designed to teach his students a lesson about hubris? The physical evidence simply isn't there to give us an answer.
Let's fast forward to a much more recent disappearance, the Roanoke Colony. Back in the late 16th century, English settlers established this thriving, hopeful little community on Roanoke Island. Wooden buildings, active farming, entire families trying to survive in a brand new world. But eventually, the colony's governor had to leave to gather supplies back in England. And because of a naval war, he got delayed. When he finally returned 3 years later, the settlement was completely empty. The buildings were weathered, defensive perimeters were taken down, paths were all overgrown, but there was no sign of a massacre. No graves, no struggle. Just a single haunting clue. The word Croatoan carved right into a wooden post. Where did over 100 men, women, and children go? Reasonable theories suggest they might have integrated into nearby indigenous communities, moved further inland, or maybe they fled because of disease. But without bodies or definitive records, the ultimate fate of the lost colony is still a massive question mark.
Next up, consider a single guy who commanded one of the largest contiguous empires in human history. Genghis Khan's armies crossed the vast Central Asian steppe, they toppled dynasties, and conquered this enormous territory from the Pacific Ocean all the way to Eastern Europe. Yet, we are left with a staggering question. Where in the world is he buried? Historical traditions tell us there were extreme, frankly ruthless efforts to hide his tomb when he died. Legends say his funeral escort literally killed anyone who crossed their path, and that a whole river was diverted to flow over his grave to keep it hidden forever. And you know what? Those efforts worked flawlessly. Even today, using cutting-edge satellite tech, ground-penetrating radar, and massive archaeological surveys across Mongolia, no universally accepted tomb has ever been found. The most powerful ruler of his time left behind one final secret, perfectly hidden beneath the earth.
So moving from land to sea, we run into the truly chilling timeline of the Mary Celeste. It's 1872, and this merchant sailing vessel is out there navigating the notoriously rough waters of the Atlantic with a captain, his family, and a small crew. But then comes Discovery Day. Another ship spots the Mary Celeste drifting strangely and silently. When sailors boarded her, they stepped into a literal maritime ghost story. The ship? Entirely seaworthy. The expensive cargo was still safely tucked away in the hold. The crew's personal belongings, their navigational instruments, even a 6-month supply of food, totally untouched. The only things missing were the people and the lifeboat. and there was no severe damage to suggest a pirate attack or some monster wave. Practical theories point to sudden fears about the ship's condition, like maybe noxious fumes from the cargo, or a catastrophic navigational error that made them temporarily abandon ship into the lifeboat, only to get lost at sea. But with zero definitive answers and absolutely no survivors, the silence of the Mary Celeste is pretty deafening.
Okay, on to Section 3, Cryptic Codes and Artifacts, Objects that completely defy explanation.
We're shifting now from vanished people to surviving objects that still completely baffle modern scholars. Let's start with a medieval book that no one can actually read. The Voynich Manuscript is filled with this totally unfamiliar writing system, these elegant looping symbols that just don't match any known alphabet in human history. And alongside the text are these strange, colorful illustrations of plants that don't exist in nature, incredibly complex astrological diagrams, and bizarre, unidentified figures. For over a century, some of the brightest scholars, top military code breakers, and even modern AI systems have tried to translate it, and every single one has failed. But here's what makes it so fascinating. The text actually follows real linguistic syntax rules. It has the statistical signature of a genuine language, which makes it really hard to just dismiss as a lazy prank. So what is it? A forgotten, lost language? A sophisticated encrypted message hiding alchemical secrets? Or just a masterful, incredibly elaborate hoax to swindle a wealthy buyer? Its true meaning is completely locked away.
Which forces us to ask a pretty profound question. How much ancient technological knowledge have we completely lost? Case in point, the Antikythera Mechanism. Early 20th century, divers are recovering an ancient Roman-era shipwreck from the Mediterranean, and they pull up this corroded lump of bronze. Months later in a lab, a researcher notices a gear wheel embedded in the rock. This wasn't just ancient scrap metal. Hidden inside were over 30 interlocking bronze gears with precise teeth, pointers, and rotating dials. It was an ancient Greek device that could calculate complex astronomical cycles, predict eclipses decades in advance, and track planetary orbits. It is widely considered the most sophisticated surviving mechanical device from the ancient world. It's basically an ancient analog computer. A machine of this staggering complexity literally shouldn't exist in that time period. The tech to create gearwork this precise wouldn't be seen again for over 1,000 years. It really leaves you wondering what other incredible innovations were invented, mastered, and then just permanently lost to time.
That brings us to Section 4, Monumental Ancient Enigmas, structures that make us ask, why? With these monumental enigmas, the mystery isn't if they exist. I mean, they're massive and right in front of our eyes. The mystery is their purpose. Take the Nazca Lines. The actual process to make them was mechanically super simple. Ancient people went to the dry desert in southern Peru, removed the dark iron oxide-coated stones from the surface, and exposed the lighter soil underneath. By just dragging away rocks, they created enormous geoglyphs. We're talking massive geometric lines, perfectly proportioned hummingbirds, spiders, and monkey-like figures, some stretching for miles across the barren landscape. So the mechanics are simple, but the sheer scale and the extraordinary planning required are just staggering, especially when you consider that many of these intricate designs are nearly impossible to fully appreciate from the ground. You literally have to be up in the sky to see them properly. So why build them? Were they religious pathways for rituals, ceremonial sites pleading with the gods for water, or massive astronomical markers? The true purpose of these immense desert carvings is heavily debated. We face a remarkably similar puzzle over on the Salisbury Plain in Britain. We have to ask, was Stonehenge a place of ceremony, an ancient calendar, or both? We know for a verified fact that thousands of years ago, prehistoric communities used incredible manpower, ropes, and wooden rollers to transport these enormous stones, some weighing up to 25 tons, others brought from Wales over 150 miles away, all before the wheel was even invented. We also know they arranged these stones to perfectly align with the summer solstice sunrise and the winter solstice sunset. The engineering is absolutely undeniable, but exactly why was such a colossal effort undertaken? Was it a ceremonial burial center to connect with ancestors? A giant agricultural calendar to track the seasons? A sacred healing site? The massive stones are still standing there, dominating the landscape, but the builders left absolutely no written instructions behind to tell us what they were actually thinking.
And finally, Section 5. The value of the unknown and embracing our incomplete history.
Civilizations disappeared. Languages were forgotten. Objects survived without instructions. From the ghostly disappearance of Roanoke and the philosophical void of Atlantis, to the uncrackable Voynich Manuscript and the precision of the Antikythera gears, all of these historical puzzles share one profound takeaway. They remind us with striking clarity that our understanding of the past is fundamentally incomplete. History isn't just a static textbook of answers you memorize for a test. It's a living, breathing puzzle where stories crossed thousands of years to reach us, often dropping vital chapters somewhere along the way. Some of these mysteries might actually get solved in our lifetimes, with new archaeological digs, deep-sea subs, or advanced AI codebreakers. But others? They might remain beautifully unanswered forever. And honestly, that is incredibly valuable. It strips away our modern arrogance and keeps our minds entirely open to discovery.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. What is history's next mystery going to be? Perhaps somewhere beneath the earth, at the dark bottom of the ocean, or sitting totally unrecognized inside a dusty, unopened archive, another massive mystery is just waiting. It's not waiting for someone to invent a clever, convenient answer, but for someone to uncover the actual truth. History is far from finished, guys. It's waiting for you to keep asking questions. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning out there.